And it says we're live. Good evening, everyone. How we all doing? I'm here with the indomitable Craig Bragg. Craig, how's it going?
I'm indomitable now, am I? I'm good, Irving. How are you?
Not so bad, not so bad. I just want to warn everyone, we're about to get stream sniped by some black guy.
To get what?
Stream sniped?
Dream sniped. What is this?
Stream sniped. Sorry.
What is it? What does that mean?
When someone starts their stream immediately after you
Oh,
do, right? So yeah,
sons of bitches.
by some black guy. And that's not racist. It's the YouTuber who goes by the name Some Black Guy, whose stream also just started.
He's a big player though, is he
Yeah.
not? He's like much bigger than you are.
Hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caitlin Bennett has quarantine with Caitlin tonight
No.
too, I think. Or was that last night? It might have been last night.
Oh my.
That's okay. That's all right. We're the micro channels. We can get, the 10, 6, 12 views and then 80 views after the fact.
Yeah. And we're happy to have them, really.
Exactly.
So, did you get a chance, Craig, to watch that video from the Rebel today?
I apologize. I did not. Even though you sent me the message to watch it around 10 to 8.
I didn't have the
wife and I
link,
were-
I'm sorry.
The wife and I were watching. We're watching Ant-Man tonight. We're going through the Marvel Cinematic Universe while we're in lockdown, and tonight was Ant-Man. So I didn't even see your message until just about 5 minutes ago,
Oh,
and
okay.
and so I'm going through Rebel News trying to find the video, and I'm like, okay, I see a dude was fined for feeding the homeless. Is that the asshole cop you're talking about?
That's the one, but that's not actually the asshole bit. Now, okay.
Oh, okay.
I've got it queued up. I hope.
Yeah, you could share it.
Yeah, I will. But I also hope, because I'm going to run some of it with the sound off, that we don't get fucking shut down immediately for running it. Because Rebel likes to do that, even with people who agree with them.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's considered fair use.
You would think, right? But for 3 to 6 seconds with the sound off, we should be okay. Let's hope.
All right. You put on the closed captions so it can be read.
Oh, it's not even that. It just you'll be able to see by the body language.
What's going on? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So to set the scene, a man in, I believe it's Calgary, went out in the street to feed homeless people. Right? He's passing out, I don't know, sandwiches or something. The cops do end up finding him $1,200, but that's not the part of the video that really set me off here. So I just want you to see this cop who's talking to a third party. And yet, you're not actually going to be able to see it, are you, Craig?
I'm watching the stream.
Okay, it's going to be a few seconds behind.
That's okay.
And you can see the cop is standing there. This is a third party, this guy in the Under Armour jacket.
Yeah.
And the cop is going to tell him to back away. And the guy's going to take a step back. And then the cop is going to get right up in his face and tell him again he has to maintain social distance. It's ridiculous. Now,
Yeah.
I generally like cops, but this is not a cop. He's dressed like a cop. He's officially sanctioned by the police. But this is an asshole with a badge and a gun, not a cop. And there's a huge difference for me.
For sure.
And it's just ridiculous how he's abusing his power, and that the other cops are going to stand around and let him.
Yeah.
Because what's really funny is there seems to be about 4 or 5 cops on the scene, if you watch more of the video, that they have literally nothing better to do than to go stop someone from passing out food to homeless people.
Yeah. So the guy in the camo jacket is the guy who's been passing out homeless food to the homeless.
Yeah. And it just...
that's bullshit. I caught a little bit of it just before I came online. I caught the scene where the cop was walking the guy back up the stairs saying, stay away from me. I'm like,
yeah.
You're walking into him, douchebag.
Yeah. And it's just completely ridiculous that, the person I believe holding the camera is saying something along the lines of, the social distancing rules apply to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? meaning the cop who's like violating the personal space, right?
Right. Right.
And I can't stand that, like, because it's petty.
Yeah, it's petty in the same way. Like, and I got into an argument about. Well, I mean, you know how I feel about the state flexing its authority,
Yeah.
and right now it's really becoming bothersome. And what's becoming bothersome more for me is people jumping to the defense of the state, because
Yeah.
I'm a libertarian and I don't like the state doing its shit. As a matter of fact, my most recent video, the one I put up today, which should have gone up last night, was basically about that. You know, you've got all these Karens out there calling the cops and, you know, leaving notes on people's doorsteps saying, you know, you're not allowed to have visitors. Like, mind your own fucking business.
Oh, there was another one from, was it sometime last week or earlier this week, of a British guy who managed to turn his camera on just after the cops had kicked in his door.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That his
And they
neighbors
say, well, we heard you had a party here. I'm here by myself. And
there's literally no
one
one else.
there. So maybe his TV was a little loud or something. But if his TV's loud, then you call and say his TV's loud.
It just...
Anyway, it's, yeah. Cops in the UK, they're not fit for purpose. I say that all the time. But it's becoming increasingly clear that it's the same here. And it's the same in any state where they've enacted these authoritarian diktats where, you know, people are basically... they're under house arrest. And yeah, okay, they can walk through their neighborhood, but they can only go out if they have legitimate business, meaning they got to buy groceries or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, people put under house arrest have those restrictions on them as well. You can go to and from work. You can go make essential runs to, like, grocery or whatever. Some people who are under house arrest.
Yeah.
And I made the point. I made a point on Facebook, and I think you saw it, but a buddy of mine was arguing with me about it. I'm like, look, this isn't quarantine. Because you don't quarantine healthy people, you quarantine sick people. This is house arrest. It's telling everybody they got to stay home, and they can only go within their, you know, general neighborhood. Can't go to the parks that your taxes pay for. You can only go to specific stores that the government deems essential. And yeah, it's becoming frustrating, and it needs to come to an end soon. And I hope it does, because unlike the United States, Canada will just sit there apologizing for our bad behavior, you know, indefinitely. No, there's not going to be a revolt in Canada. I mean, maybe there will. If people start getting hungry, if, you know, they can't get food, they might start, you know, revolting, because that's what starts revolutions, right? When people no longer have food, that's when they start revolting. But right now, we're not at that point.
You know, which is, you know, good.
Yeah.
For now.
I'm bringing it down. I'm making it sound all depressing. But anyway.
Well, I mean, the problem is, you're not going to be able to see this either. The problem now is this, that the curve is flat.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. The cases aren't increasing in number day over day. They're either staying the same or dropping.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of talk, like, I'm sure you watch Styx Hexenhammer, right?
I sure do.
And he's talked about how, at this point, you know, the way we've discouraged the deadly version, that any viral mutation that was asymptomatic or more mild in its symptoms, that's the one that's propagating.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a good chance that, yeah, millions and millions more people than we know already have the asymptomatic or less symptomatic strain. That it's basically done at this point. I mean, there could be a second wave, but we already know from experience that we can stop it. If we see it ramping up, we'll just interrupt it again.
Yeah, see, then Styx Hexenhammer's also said, you know, this might not be the approach we should be taking by basically, you know, cloistering indoors and not going out and leading our regular lives. We're just prolonging its spread. And whereas it might be a better option to let it burn through the populace. And the people with the strong immune systems are going to survive. The people with the weak immune systems, they should be the ones taking the extra steps. avoiding contact, staying indoors, getting family members to buy you groceries as opposed to going to the grocery store yourself.
Right, right.
Uh, using grocery delivery as opposed to buying yourself. But the idea that people who are ostensibly healthy are being forced to be locked down, that might actually be causing more problems because it's not able to burn through the immune systems of people who would normally be able to fight it off. So the only people affected by it are the weak, and it's spreading through the weak. And I mean, I don't know. And then my concern is that if it's successful in mutating in the weak immune systems, and we're not exposed to it, the healthy people, then we won't know what's coming at us when it finally does come, and it could mutate at the time. But I mean, I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a virologist, but this is another point of view that he put out there, Sticks, Axe, and Hammer. But again, I don't know. My point is that it's now looking like it's got a mortality rate akin to that of the flu, and it's really going to raise some questions that people are going to go, okay, if it's got a mortality rate akin to the flu, why did we go to these insane steps for something that wasn't as deadly just as deadly as the flu? We don't do this for the flu every year. But I hear all the arguments against that type of thinking. Oh well, we don't have a vaccine, and the flu is a seasonal thing. And well, I think the approach we're taking now might end up making COVID-19 a seasonal flu that we're gonna live with for indefinitely. Are we going to do this every year? Are we going to shut down the economy for 2 months every year? I don't know.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. But I mean, we already do live with coronaviruses.
Yeah, but
right?
I mean, I'm talking specifically this one, the novel coronavirus, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm under the impression that like if there is an asymptomatic strain or a mildly symptomatic strain, anyone that's contracted that is already developing at least rudimentary antibodies for the more deadly strain, which would mean that when you
it's to be hoped. Yeah.
the same way that like we don't all die from regular old colds because you already have at least some kind of antibody that can help fight it.
Right.
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 So if that's all correct, and it probably is because viruses are notorious for being rapidly mutating.
Yeah.
Then yeah, there's a huge chance that like the pockets of people that had the deadly strain, they're all surrounded by people who had an asymptomatic strain, and it's not really going anywhere now.
Yeah.
Point being, either way, we got to open up the fucking economy.
Exactly. That's my point too. Now, thankfully, I'm one of the lucky ones, right? I mean, I can work from home. My company put in place a really good BCP, and outfitted us for this eventuality. So we're all working from home, and as grumbly as it's making us, our jobs aren't lost. I feel bad for Six. I mean, he got furloughed.
Yeah.
And all those people got furloughed, and this is the other thing. Like they're Nancy Pelosi. I know we're Canadians, but this is American politics. She's receiving a lot of heat online because she went on the James Corden's night show, whatever it is. Anyway, and was showing off her house where she's got two $45,000 fridges, and she has these she has all this collection of ice cream, and people are rightfully going, oh, here's a let them eat cake kind of moment, right? She's completely disconnected. She's being paid right now while she's at home eating her gourmet ice cream that she orders online, and meanwhile she's ignoring pleas for the extension of the small business loans. Like they wanted small business loans, and basically Congress is like, well, you got to tie it to this. We got to get relief for first responders. We got to get relief for women. Like, I'm like, you're gonna put in your identity politics into this thing where we're talking about specifically loans for small businesses that need to keep afloat. Otherwise, they're shuttering their doors forever once this is all done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like this disconnect from celebrities and politicians who are supposed to be there. Not the celebrities, but the politicians are supposed to be there for the people, and they couldn't be more further disconnected from them.
Yeah. Even look at Justin Trudeau. Don't go gather, don't go visiting, and then what does he do on Easter weekend? Is he disappears up to the cottage.
Yeah, okay, and you know what? I'm no fan of Trudeau, but at least he went to his cottage. He didn't go off to like some, touristy spot and hang out there. He went to his private cottage, and like people were giving me shit like, Craig, you hate Just Trudeau. I'm like, sure, but while there might be a recommendation, no unnecessary travel, or don't go to the cottage or whatever. The logic of that mentality doesn't really make sense. If you want to avoid spreading it, then yeah, go somewhere remote where only you and your family are.
No, I understand that too, but at the same time, it's rules for thee, but not for me. With
Exactly.
yeah, and
But I mean,
that's
if I had a cottage and I felt like things were getting just a little too crazy here, I wouldn't worry about breaking some order. I'd just go. And I mean, and as far as I know, there's no order in place where you're not allowed to go. They're just recommending you don't go. Again, I don't understand the logic of recommending people don't move to go to places where it's more remote, thereby making it harder for the virus to spread. If you indeed have it.
no, yeah, like that shit that was going around with the drone filming two people walking their dog
For
way out in
Christ's
the
sake.
middle of nowhere with no one around and saying this is completely unnecessary. Who fucking cares?
They have got the right to do it, and they pay for their parks, they pay for their nature trails through their taxes,
Yeah,
and for you to shut them off, they're not going to malls, they're not going to theaters, they're not going places where there's large gatherings of people. If they're out in the middle of nowhere with just their dog, they're not hurting anybody. This happened in Oakville. A guy got given I want to say like a $1,200 fine or something like that for taking his kids to
the parking lot of the community
the
center.
parking lot
Yeah,
of the community center. And the cop come up and says, "This is closed. You can't be here. Social distancing, yada yada yada." And he's like, "Who are we hurting?" And according to the story, and this is testimony from the person who was given the fine, he said, "Who are we hurting? We're just me and my kids." And he says, "Oh, you're going to do that? Are you going to pull that crap? Are you?" And he gave him a ticket.
yeah.
$250 for every kid that was there, for every person who was there, him, his kids. Now, my friends are saying, well, you shouldn't even ask that question. You should just listen to the officer and go, okay, I'll go home. I'm like, but he's got a valid point, and the officer's there. He's throwing his weight around, and I get it. He's got orders to follow, and we don't know what actually went on. We only know by this guy's own testimony. For all we know, he was yelling at the cop, calling him names, and being belligerent, and refusing to leave after being instructed to. But the whole point is, like, this is not something you need to be focused on. If you showed up at a parking lot and there were 100 people there, all with their kids playing on skateboards and rollerblades or whatever, then you've got a reason to be concerned and say, hey, you know what, folks, this is too crowded. Social distancing, recommendations are not being met. I need you all to go home. That would make sense. But one guy with his 3 kids rollerblading in a parking lot, he's doing what's been advised.
Yeah.
If he was doing it on the sidewalk with his kids, right, just going for a walk around the block with his kids on rollerblades, he wouldn't be violating it. But because he went to a flat area that's wide open on rollerblades, no, you can't be here. This is a community center and it's closed. Closed or not, I'm not asking to go into the community center and take out a book or use the gym equipment. We're in the fucking empty parking lot. Give me a break. The logic of it just, the fact that you can't question the cops is another thing. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I even saw one with a skate park where
they put sand in the skate park.
and they put up
We're trying to keep everybody safe, so you're making the skate park unsafe for people to use.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea.
Like, and there was some joke about without government, who would spend your money making things that you already paid for inaccessible to you?
Yeah, exactly.
Just ridiculous. Just fucking nuts.
It is.
And now they're talking about some kind of laws for spreading misinformation on social media and elsewhere.
That's right. They want, in Canada, big surprise, they want to start spreading, or they want to pass laws regarding dissemination of disinformation regarding coronavirus, which means anything you say that isn't the official story in Canada, you can get in trouble. And I think they're specifically targeting, publications. I think what they want to do is go after Rebel News, is what it is. But
no, but I mean others, right? Like, do you know Frank Vaughn?
Frank Vaughn.
Canadian YouTuber. He does his little podcast and little podcast. He does his podcast, and he's been all over this from the beginning, and he's been ahead of the curve on every single point. That 2 days to 10 days before the government changes their fucking story, he's already telling it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like him.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry, I was.
That was most of it.
Very rude. But no, man, please finish your thought, because I have a bad habit of interrupting people.
No. That's exactly the kind of person that they're going. They'd be
going after him,
and they'd be targeting, like Rebel to a degree, but this is actually an extension of something that happened. Geez, it's got to be almost 2 years ago with the digital charter in Canada.
What was that? I don't see. I should be following Canadian law more.
Well, there was a couple of things in it about holding platforms accountable for disinformation spread by users and false information spread by users across the platform, and it's like literally demanding that the platform behave as a publisher.
Yeah.
Or suffer fines. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, speaking of people who've been, quite cogent on their analysis and staying on top of things. Do you ever watch Viva Fry?
I love Viva Fry. Oh my God. Former Montreal litigator turned YouTuber.
Yeah. Well, he did one today regarding that specific thing. He's like, look, we don't need more laws. There's already laws on the books. And he's absolutely right. If you knowingly put out false information, it leads to the harm of somebody else, you can be charged, you can be found liable for that. So the idea that they got to make a new law, but I mean, you know what? It's like middle managers holding meetings. If middle managers didn't hold meetings, and they wouldn't be able to do anything, they wouldn't do anything. You know what I mean? They got to make themselves look busy. Legislators need to make laws in order to look busy, in order to justify their existence. So, but you ever watch? There's another Canadian YouTuber. She's called Truth Factory.
No.
She's a little. Her little logo character is one of those little fat-faced gray cats, and she did a really good one today, regarding coronavirus. It's called Made in China. It's worth watching. It's only 10 minutes long, but it's basically it's tracking the origins of the virus and all of the articles and all of the information that is supposed to be discounted by everybody, because the official story is this. Started in a wet market. China got a hold on it really early. China has been good. The World Health Organization says it was no human-to-human transmission as late as January, I think 29th or something like that, or January 14th. And she basically dismantles all of it and says, here's what we actually know. But she does it in such a way so that if she's a Canadian and they do have this law passed, she won't get in trouble, because she's saying it's just a coincidence, the whole thing. It's crazy conspiracy theory, the fact that this and this and this and this and this. Anyway, it's worth watching. She's got a good channel. She's also done a really good video on Epstein, the whole Epstein.
Oh my.
But she's kind of I wouldn't call her a conspiracy YouTuber, but she's definitely goes against the grain of official narrative. And it's funny to see that it's the small channels, I shouldn't say small channels, because she's got a very big channel, but it's the independent, news pundits and commentators that are actually the ones who are actually breaking the information. Meanwhile, CNN is just, putting out Chinese propaganda and attacking Trump at every turn when he speaks against their narrative. It's funny that you get people like this Truth Factory and all these other smaller little outlets who are doing the real, getting their hands dirty and finding out the truth. It's now like mainstream news that it probably didn't start in a web market. It probably escaped that virus lab in Wuhan. This is now mainstream, whereas 2 weeks ago it was unfounded conspiracy theory, and it was bold disinformation, and people should be charged with it, and they should be deplatformed for it. And now it's the truth. Now it's more than likely. I mean, I didn't believe it came from a wet market when I first heard the story, and it was revealed to me that less than a few kilometers away there was this virus lab. I'm like, It obviously came from there. We're not fucking stupid. Like, come on. Yeah, sure. And Epstein hung himself off of a bunk off 4 feet off the ground. Come on,
With toilet paper.
with toilet. Yeah, with bed sheets.
Paper bed sheets like at the doctor's office.
Yeah,
What the
exactly. Give me a fucking
Oh
break.
man.
They must think we're stupid.
Oh, they do. They do. And I think there's good reason for that. Like there a lot of people are maybe they're not stupid, but they're too busy to be well informed.
Yeah, it's true. People want to just get on with their lives. They're looking for the next jigsaw puzzle to complete while they're locked down. But they're not paying that much attention. You know, the biggest views on this stuff is when Trump gets in front of the cameras or Trudeau gets in front of the cameras. That's when people are watching because they're like, "There's the official story. Let me know what's going on." You know, and they're not really paying attention to things that other people find. And anytime my dad will FaceTime me because he's bored. I go, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just watching some YouTube." "Oh, we're watching the news." And I'm like, "Dad, you shouldn't do that. It's bad for you. It'll fucking rot your brain."
That's bad for you.
It is. It's bad for you. Don't watch the fucking news. It's all garbage. Anyway.
And yeah, like, I'm getting so sick of Trudeau's voice. Like just
only now, just now.
But I mean, because he's on like almost every day now, right? And
I hear you.
And
yeah.
I do try to keep up with it. The same way that, like, look, you know that this channel is biased this way, and you know that this other channel is biased this way. So if you watch them both and they say the same thing here and then there, you know that that's probably got some truth to it. So I do want to hear what they're saying. Yeah. Also, so I can hear them flip within the next 5 days.
That's right. It's like, oh, well, we got it wrong.
But yeah, but his put on fucking soothing, calming voice that we will get through the. It's like, who learned drama from you? Like, you are so bad at acting. How the fuck did you?
You taught drama. You taught drama in high school, or was it a high school drama class or a college drama class?
High school.
And a part-time skiing, skiboarding or skate. What do you call it? Snowboarding instructor. Yeah, that's his credentials. He's now the leader of, Canada. Good on you guys. Anyway.
Yeah, and like with these laws that they want to, like, how far does it go? Would Haiju and Tam now be like facing charges because they reported shit that was blatantly incorrect earlier when they flip-flop? Or would they have to be more careful? Would they have to hold themselves more accountable?
Well, you know what? I think they could finally lock up Ernst Zundel if was he still alive? I don't think he's still alive. They wanted to lock him up because he was spreading conspiracies about the Holocaust, but his speech is protected. And he's like, look, he can have any stupid opinion he wants. He's allowed to say it because we still have that freedom. But I think trying to put laws like this in place, you want to keep your government on a very short leash, people. And the idea that you're willing to just go, oh well, this is extraordinary times, extraordinary measures. That's exactly what they want you to think. Because once they set the precedent, they can do it again.
Yeah.
And they will. They'll just keep doing it again. I'm telling you, man, Hydra won. Hydra fucking won. That's all there is to it.
Explain.
You know what? Oh, you don't? Okay. So the wife and I mentioned this in my most recent video. The wife and I were watching Winter Soldier the other day. Right? You know that scene where Romanoff and Rogers, they go down into the bunker at that old, army training boot camp area?
Yeah.
And they walk into what's basically Arnim Zola's brain. And it's like, a bunch of monitors and then rows upon rows upon rows of those old style computers with the magnetic tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically they before he died, they copied his brain onto this magnetic tape and put in an AI that could, hold conversations, basically Arnim Zola Siri. Anyway, so he explains to them, look, when after the Second World War, under Project Paperclip, which is an actual thing, the U.S. government brought in all these former Nazi scientists to get information off of them. And in the story, it turns out they were all Hydra, and their whole plan was infiltrate, the intelligence apparatus and security apparatus of the United States, namely SHIELD, and slowly whittle away people's chaos in society, so the increase of crime, increase of corruption, blah 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 blah, and eventually people would just naturally want to give up their freedom, because the reason they lost the war in the 1940s was people want to hang on to their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But if you whittle it down slowly by slowly, they'll just naturally give it up just to feel safe. And that's exactly what we're in right now, because everybody I talk to, I mean, maybe they're starting to shift a little bit, but everybody I talk to is like, well, man, extraordinary times, extraordinary measures. So they're willing to give up their freedom because they're afraid of their grandmother dying. And I'm like, look, man, Hydra won. They won. That's all there is to it. They whittled away our freedoms bit by bit to the point where we're just willing to give up the little bit that we have left, all in an effort to feel safe. And it's horseshit.
Wasn't there an actual Soviet defector in like the late 70s or early 80s who went on a talk show and he laid it all out? That this is exactly what the Soviets are going to do. They're already doing it. They've already infiltrated your academia, and now we're seeing it.
Yeah, what's his name? I can't remember. Yeah. I saw the video,
Yeah. Older looking Russian guy with that great accent and the little glasses.
Yeah, he almost looks like Milton Friedman. Only Russian. Yeah, I'm looking at here. What's his name? Yuri Bezmenov.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Yuri Bezmenov. Yeah, and basically said, yeah, we infiltrated academia. We made your institutions. We ruined the family. We ruined the idea of the nuclear family. We insidiously put this propaganda in the academia so that people would trust the state more than they trust their own family, and they undermine the church, undermine the tradition and framework of what the United States was built upon, just so that people would naturally become communists at the very end of the day. And I mean, if you look at people on the left, the position of the Democrats and people on the left here in Canada, the Liberals, it's closer to what they had in during the Cold War than than Russians had. People are like naturally saying, no, it's the state's responsibility to provide my health care, provide everything else. I have a God-given right to be taken care of, cradle to grave by the state, and that's what they're there for. This is the mindset of people. So people would never admit to being communists. When you ask them, issue by issue, and ask them what they feel about certain things, they'll say these are rights, and the state is the only one who can provide. They're essentially communist. But they may not do it from a philosophical point of view, in terms of they subscribe to communism and explicitly would subscribe to communism, but the end result of their mindset is that this is what I want government to do. I want government to take care of me and make things fair. I want and take from people who have been successful and give to me. So yeah, we're Hydra won, man. Hydra won.
And I would just like to point out to the people who do think that this communist idea is the way to go, tell me, how much do you like standing in line outside the grocery store and hoping you got there early enough that there's still fill in the blank on the shelf? Because that's what it would be forever.
Yep.
And I actually used to work with a guy who, like, he was still living in Russia when the Soviet Union collapsed, and he grew up there under the umbrella of communism. And yeah, it was like once a week or every 10 days you had to get, if the store was going to open at 6 in the morning, you had to be there before 4, because if you weren't, the line would be too long and there'd be no bread.
Yep.
Every couple of years, when his shoes were getting too tight, they would have to get on a train for 4 hours to go into Moscow to get shoes.
Yeah, it's insane. And actually, if you're looking for more, um, there's exposure to communists and the Russian bureaucracy and how evil it was. I watched a video recently um, about. Let's see if I can find it here. Cannibal Island in Russia. I don't know if you've ever
Oh
seen it.
my God, no! But that just
So basically, the kulaks, which were basically successful peasant farmers
hmm
in Russia after the big, the big change, um, they were all shipped off to Siberia, and one of the places they were shipped to was an island in a river that ended up being called Cannibal Island because the people who were supposed to be watching all those people, they were a bunch of corrupt officers, and they basically didn't give them any food. So these people who were on, and there was a mix of people. It was a mix of people who were just regular folks. At one point in Russia, right after, you had to be able to walk. You had to walk around with a passport saying you were Russian and you were able to travel in Russia. And if you didn't, they would ship you off to this gulag. And people just walking down the street who happened to leave it in their apartment or whatever, they would get packed onto a train and sent out to this gulag. And they would put hardened criminals in this place too, right?
of
So I can
course.
find it here. So yeah, no, it's a really disturbing story. I'll see if I can find it here.
Cannibal Island.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. Um, it's here.
Yeah, and
Anyway, this guy does a good little video on what happened. It's called Nazinsky, Stalin's Cannibal Island. And yeah, the YouTube name, YouTube channel is Geographics. I'll put a link to it in, not in the chat because I don't want people to click away.
no,
But I'll
throw
put
it
it in
throw it in the
just
chat. Throw it in the chat. It's fine. It's fine.
yeah.
They'll they'll
And they
they'll
can always,
they'll, they'll open link in new tab and save it for later.
all right.
Also, while
Put
we're
it,
here, I just want to say I'm sorry, guys, that I haven't been interacting with the chat here. We have been a little. Yes, I saw you guys come up with Yuri Bezmenov. We're also a little behind. There's a big lag between when we're talking and when you guys actually see it. So my apologies. And I'm just looking at Nick's radio comment now. Yes, Vladimir Jaffe. He grew up in. I think he left when he was young though, like 12 or 13.
yeah.
Or the Soviet Union collapsed when he was 12 or 13, one or the other. But he spent his childhood there, and he knows what it's like. And he talks to the modern communists in the United States, and
He like goes man on the street when they're at a protest or whatever.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. They have no idea.
Yeah, and then they look at him like he's got two heads because their worldview is crashing down in front of them.
Yeah,
But Irving, I have to step away for about 2 minutes while I feed my little kitty cat.
sure,
So
no problem.
if you would be so kind as to carry on without me briefly.
I will try. I will try.
Of course you will. I'll be back in a second.
Sure. Yeah. So I just and there was something about Vladimir Jaffe that that he said something like it's only in these places where people have been free enough to actually start to develop some kind of wealth that people see the wealth and go, ooh, we should share that. We should take it from the wealthy people and spread it around to everybody. You actually have to be more free to develop the situation in which people think that that's even viable. Right? Because the only way to generate that wealth is to have the freedom to do it. Right? Where otherwise, if people start... and thank you, Ajax. Jaffe was in his 20s when he came to the U.S. You have to have the freedom to generate that extra wealth. And then the idea of, we should split it up amongst everybody is the exact opposite of what generates that wealth to begin with. And you can see, like in Venezuela, it happened almost immediately. They went from the richest country in South America to the absolute poorest, with people raiding zoos to kill all the zoo animals for food. And there's a video I saw of people screeching to a halt on a highway and like just charging out of their cars into a field to beat a cow to death. because it was there, and that's all the food they had. It's just insane what people think and how it sort of mutates from, oh look, these are all the things we did to become wealthy. Now we should be done with all of those things because wealth bad or something. It's way off topic, but something that really pisses me off is hearing the same group of people. Sorry, did I hear Craig? Are you there?
I am here, yes.
Good. Okay, so let me tell you this. This is a little off topic, but it does piss me off. Hearing people, and the same group of people will say things like, oh, I found it on Amazon. Oh, it ships so fast from Amazon. Oh, you can find anything on Amazon. Amazon is so easy. I returned it to Amazon and there was no charge for the shipping. What? The guy who invented Amazon is rich? How dare he? Like, what the fuck?
It's true. Yeah. It's funny, like, if you ever watched the Occupy Wall Street coverage, some people were out there, people who were, trying to cause shit with the Occupy Wall Street. I think Crowder, maybe not even Crowder, I don't remember. But basically, somebody went up and said, asked the guy, and he's talking about abolishing private property. You should abolish private property. And he's like, okay, cool. Can I have that iPad? He's like, no, this is personal property. And you know what? Here's the thing. There's no logical disconnect for these folks. Abolishing private property means you have no right. Doesn't matter if it's a house or
the shirt on your back,
an iPad, yeah, or a shirt on your back. Basically, if you want to get rid of private property, it means you own nothing. You don't own anything.
Yeah.
Even the things that you make yourself. Even if you went out into the woods and grabbed a stick off the ground and turned it into a cane or turned it into something useful that you were going to get some use out of it. If you don't believe in private property, that means anybody can come up to you, or not anybody, but somebody in authority who you've vested with the power can come up to you and say, ours, and take it. So don't be so quick to talk about getting rid of private property, or don't be so quick to hate on the people who've made something out of their lives, like Jeff Bezos. I mean, I don't think Jeff Bezos is a good guy. I think he's probably a scumbag. I'm not saying that he's a scumbag because he's rich. I'm saying he's a scumbag because he likely did a lot of really shitty things to get as rich as he did. Maybe it's a bit of a disconnect. Maybe he's the most nice guy in the world, and he just came up with something really awesome, and that's why he's so successful. But I don't know. I'm not trying to say he's therefore evil because he's as successful as he is. Yeah. I'm just I've read things about Jeff Bezos to make him not to be make one think he's not a very savory character.
Sure, but the two things can be mutually exclusive, right? Like, you can get rich and not be evil, and you can be evil and not get rich.
Yeah, well, sure, yeah. I would say that most of the people in prison who've done truly evil, despicable things are probably not, making six figures before they went to prison.
Yeah. But that's okay. Don't worry, because all of them are out now.
Yeah. What is it, 1,500 or 1,800 that they released in Ontario?
Something like that, yeah. In Ontario alone.
Yeah. Now, my understanding from what people are saying is these people whose parole was coming up anyway, and they just don't have the manpower to go through the regular process, so they're just, they're fast-tracking them out. And my hope is that it's not violent criminals who had their sentences reduced by 6 months to a year. That would be bad. I would think if it's non-violent, like drug possession, even something minor like shoplifting, or I might say breaking and entering, except for the fact that breaking and entering is kind of it's an invasion. It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
but
it's just dumb because, hey, let's let all these people out of prison. Also, we're going to start fining people for not social distancing, and if they don't pay the fines, they're going to have to go to prison.
Yeah, exactly. No. You held up a gas station. You're free to go. You were rollerblading with your kids in a parking lot at the community center. Lock that son of a bitch up.
Yep.
Oh well. So, police, porn, and a pandemic. So we've talked about police. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the pandemic at length. We've even gone over to politics and talked about communism. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk about porn.
All right. Okay. So it seems that with so many people self-isolating and quarantine, that like what else are you gonna do? People are watching a lot more porn. So the anti-porn people are out in force now, and I'm seeing all kinds of stupid shit. And the thing that it ticked me off, I tweeted about it because it was on Twitter. And again,
I saw
nothing
that
better
too.
to do, so you're on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
That what were the, is it at exposed porn? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it's exposed porn or something like that. Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
And the tweet was like, porn statistics, a thread, all capital letters. And so I decided to flip through it just to see what they're saying. And there's like no statistics in it.
Yeah, it's the guy's opinion.
Yeah, like they start with an opinion poll. And then there was an informal survey of lawyers and divorce. And then some really questionable studies. And I'm just like, really? Like, I get it. You don't like porn. Porn's not good for children, and too much of anything can be bad for you, right?
Sure.
But fuck off already. Like,
I totally agree. It's like, you know what? Mind your own fucking business.
mm,
Yeah. Like the argument that, keep the state out of the bedroom, right? Keep everybody out of your bedroom except the people who want to be there.
yeah. Yeah.
It's none of your fucking business what, I mean, now I understand the argument that, okay, so Pornhub's under a lot of fire right now, because I guess anybody can upload stuff to Pornhub. It's kind of like the YouTube of porn.
Yeah.
There are lots of porn streaming sites out there, but I guess it's the big one. And their verification regimen is not infallible. So people who are under the age of 18 have been uploading stuff. People who, they're saying it's legitimate rape porn that's being uploaded. Problem is you don't know if it's an act or not. So, they're under some fire for it. So Pornhub's become like the new villain, right? And look, there's lots more sites out there. And if you think that the children being abused and put on Pornhub, that's like at the tip of the iceberg. The really nasty, awful stuff is, in the deep dark web.
Oh yeah.
It's not on Pornhub. Pornhub's like milk toast compared to that stuff, right? Not that I know personally, but I've heard stories, right?
Yeah.
But there's anyway.
Mm.
Part of me thinks that it's the big porn lobby doing it. They want to get these streaming sites off there because they're not making any money on porn anymore.
Oh well, I'd heard that actually, that now the production companies have weaseled their way into the streamable sites.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Brazzers puts up like little 10-minute clips of their 1 hour feature on there. Sure.
But they make revenue off those little clips, right?
Sure.
And the problem is something to do with the actors. The way their contracts are written, they only make money when people join the site
videos
itself, and they get none of the cut that they're getting by putting out the clips on the streaming site. So they're really upset about that.
Get a better lawyer.
Yeah. Get a better agent.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of glib, but I mean, look, this is the industry you're in. Does Robert Downey Jr. get a cut of all the ad revenue from Disney when they put a Marvel movie trailer on YouTube or whatever, and it gets 1 million views? Does Robert Downey Jr. get a cut of the ad revenue from that? No, because the trailer is the ad itself, right? But, Marvel's getting money for clicks, I'm sure. Their stuff is monetized, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that shit bugs me to no end. When it's a trailer, it's already a commercial, and it has ads on it.
I remember a time, this is how old I am. I remember a time when you went to the movies and you didn't get any ads. All you got were trailers. There was like 2 or 3 trailers before the movie, and then you had the movie. And now, when they started putting commercials for like cars and soft drinks and shit in it, I remember, I was out on a date with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, at the time, and I was booing Like, boo! And she's like, Craig, stop it. I'm like, look, we paid to sit here to watch this movie. I didn't pay to come here and watch commercials.
Yeah.
I watch commercials at home. I come to the movies because I don't want to watch commercials. Anyway, I used to be quite strident in my early days. But now it's just part of the, you got to watch the commercials. That's all there is to it. And then they have commercials before the film even rolls. They have, their little filler crap, and it's full of commercials too.
Here, but let's not get too far away from porn here, because there's.
You're right, porn.
Porn.
Good old porn.
Because there's something else that bugged me that, and this actually was from a while ago, but since we're doing it, let's do it. Some concerned anti-porn Karen said she went on Pornhub, and the first things in the Pornhub was pictures or thumbnails of this girl. And they put up, like, this girl who does, like, girl and solo stuff and shit. And she looks very, very young. The thing is...
There's a market for that, yeah.
The thing is, she's, like, 23.
Right.
So, it's got nothing to do with whether or not she's a child. You just don't like that she looks young. Like, she looks too young for your taste.
Right.
So, that's got to come down. So, now this adult is, according to this no longer able or no longer should be allowed to do this kind of work. Like, what? Why? Where are they getting their fucking?
You know where it comes from, right? As women get older and don't look as pretty, they get jealous of women who are younger. It's the common trope, right? When the middle-aged man and women break up, the man goes for someone who's like 10, 15 years younger than his wife, and she gets very, very upset. Right. And he does that in part because, well, younger women are more attractive than older women, but also because he's sticking it to her. He's like, So, I think that's what it comes down to. These Karens are just really jealous. That's what it comes down to. It
could be.
But you know what? It's not. It's been a while now. My understanding is in Canada, our porn laws are more restrictive. I don't think they're as enforced. But you're like any porn that depicts someone who appears to be under the age of 18, whether they're under the age of 18 or not, is considered illegal.
What? No, that can't be correct.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't believe it's enforced. I think it's actionable. Like if the cops, stormed your house for something and they snatched your laptop and they found some porn where you had, who was that porn star back in the 90s she was like really petite and she was like a champ at taking in the ass.
Wait, there was quite a few of them.
Gage. Her name was Gage.
Yes, okay, Gage, yeah.
She looked really young, right?
Yeah.
So if cops found your laptop and there was, porno of Gage getting, having fun, then the cops would, look at that as like, okay, this is an indicator. This guy's probably got some... And, next thing you know, you're under suspicion for that, and your name's flagged. So, again, I don't know how heavily it's enforced, but my understanding, I'll pull up Canada's criminal code. I don't want to look. I don't want to search this, though. Because then, I'm going to get flagged just for searching it.
I've already... I already did a lot of research into this shit because I was getting into arguments with people about what is actually legal age of consent in Canada. And I knew that at one point... I think
it's 16, isn't it?
It is 16 as of 2006. Prior to that, it was 14.
It was at one point, yeah. I think it ranges from province to province. In Ontario, it was 14.
But federally. At one point. Federally, it was 14.
Okay.
And I knew that because Ontario at the time didn't have any specific laws. I'm not sure they do. And when I was rooming with this dude and we were 21, 22, he was banging a 14-year-old girl. And I thought for sure it was illegal. And the cops came to the house to put the fear into it, but he laughed and told them he knows what the laws are, and they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like...
See, I thought it was different for... Like, if you're above the age of 18...
The Juliet laws.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
They
is the
exist.
is the consent does the consent law apply to you if you're above a certain age? I thought it was
Well,
like, a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old having sex, no crimes being committed. But a
if
14-year-old and a 24-year-old having sex, then a
okay,
crime's being.
it applies from the younger person. So if one person is under the age of consent, you have, I think it's 3 years, right? So if the age of consent is 16 and one of the parties is 15, the other one can be as old as
3
18.
years. Oh, 3 years
Yeah,
difference.
that's right. So, but once both parties are above the age of consent, even if the age of consent is 14, it doesn't matter if it's 14 and 64. Right?
Okay. Well, I mean, if I had a 14-year-old daughter and some 64-year-old guy was sitting on the swings talking to her, I'd be very, very upset.
Sure, absolutely. And that's understandable.
I'd probably
right?
go up there and threaten to sock him in the mouth.
Well, yeah, sure. But the thing is,
There's some buffering going on.
Of course there is. But these laws, remember, date back to when people lived to 50 years old. There was no such thing as a polio vaccine.
Right.
Like,
and people were getting married at 14 and 16
Yeah.
and started families, at that age too, right?
hmm So, like, just the fact that they didn't change over all that time.
But in terms of,
Sorry, from province to province. Go on.
yeah,
In terms of which?
in terms of the consent laws, insofar as adult content and all adult material, I understand the restrictions on that. I mean, just because you can consent to have sex doesn't mean you can consent to be on camera and have sex.
That's correct.
But on the flip side of that, I don't think a 16-year-old guy who sends a dick pic to his 15-year-old girlfriend should necessarily have his life ruined because of it. Because if he does, he's committing, he's producing child pornography as far as criminal code's concerned. So yeah, I think that's a little extreme. I think there's room for nuance.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I don't encourage children to send dick pics and chest pics to one another.
Yeah,
but
and
I mean,
think to keep that shit out of the hands of,
this is the thing.
Stalemate was talking about the maps on Twitter and shit.
Oh yeah.
To keep it out of their hands.
Persons. Yeah, minor attracted persons. Let's call them what they are. They're adults who like to have sex with minors or are attracted to minors.
Yeah.
And
that's
they're the Chris Hansen. They're the Chris Hansen targets.
Yeah, those people. So to keep that kind of material out of their hands, it's better that it simply doesn't exist.
Agreed. Yeah. But yeah, I remember. I was reading something online, or watching, or listening to the radio or something, and some guy asked in a Vice column from like a legal expert, saying, "Hey, my girlfriend and I, we've been together for 20 years. We're married now. When we were kids, when we were like 15, we were both 15. We got out our parents' video camera and we taped ourselves having sex, and we found it. Could we be charged with that?" And the lawyer says, "Destroy it."
Yeah.
So just destroy it. Because, while, you didn't do anything wrong, because at the time you were both consenting, you're both the same age, producing material is illegal. So destroy it. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to look up on criminal code in Canada in terms of what constitutes illicit material. Because I don't want, like I said, I don't want to be flagged. Now, that being said, I could go on a private browser.
That doesn't mean anything.
Mode. I could go in incognito mode and look it up on DuckDuckGo, but I don't know if that would do it. I think I may as well just not do it. Somebody who's got no fear of the authorities, go ahead and look it up. And tell us in the chat. But yeah, no, I remember reading something about, now maybe this was a law that was proposed. Basically, any material that depicted someone who looked of age, below the age of consent, or below adult, was considered illicit. And I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it was a law that was proposed but never passed. But I know that they want it like in terms of like explicit manga and explicit anime.
Oh, and that's
That was the big thing. I'm like, and I remember back in the day when they were talking about bringing laws against people who produce cartoons of that nature. I'm like, yeah, it's creepy, but let's be honest, it's fucking art. As awful as it is, it's still there's no harm made in producing it. There's no harm in producing it because it's a pencil on paper,
yeah,
right?
it's
So,
it,
like, how can you go after somebody for drawing something like that?
they do.
It's considered protect. They do, but
Yeah,
I mean, I can understand it raising flags if they see somebody sharing images like that online, but it's I think that should be protected. I don't think the production of material that includes actual children is should be protected, obviously. But if you're drawing a picture, like as disgusting as it might be, it's still just a drawing. And,
yeah. I got into long arguments back on Minds. I still have a Minds account, but I hardly ever use it. This was years and years ago when there was actual pedos on Minds. I don't know if you remember those days. Are you
yeah,
on Minds?
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Mine can have like nude pictures and stuff on it, right? Not like
Yeah,
Facebook or Twitter. Well, Twitter has nude stuff on it too, but mine can have nude pictures on it, and there's groups that are devoted to like hot women. I remember seeing something as well. There was a guy posted, and I said I commented on one of his posts because stuff. If you like one group, other stuff will show up in your feed that's akin to it,
right.
kind of thing, right? And so there was this. It was a group that was like about redheads, and of course I thought it was I like redheads. They're cute.
Mhm.
Anyway, so then it started being redheads, and then it started being this other uh, channel or whatever that had pictures of younger looking women. I'm like, dude, like, don't share this shit. And he got all offended. And I'm like, these people are I'm like, I don't care, man. It's fucking creepy. And like, you don't want minds to turn into this, you don't want somebody shutting down minds because there's stuff on there that is questionable. Just
Yeah,
don't fucking share it. He got pissed with me. But anyway.
but yeah, there was large groups of people that like were going after people that were posting that kind of material.
Yeah.
In particular, people that were encouraging like the maps, right? That's sort of, I think,
Yeah.
well before like the Twitter emergence of this idea. But then those same groups of people started turning in like targeting people who were posting weird fucking lolicon manga. And it's like, well, slow down, guys. That's not the same thing. And they would just be like, yes, it is. And they started getting purged too. So it was really,
Yeah.
really weird.
It's a really touchy subject for people because like the depiction is what gets people's back up, right?
Yeah,
Because a talented enough artist can make it look realistic enough to make your skin crawl.
I'm, I'm,
And
I'm
I
so
don't know
glad
if
you
you're
know this.
but like and the subject matter in a lot of manga and anime, it's not only explicit, but it can be like downright violent.
Oh yeah,
And so seeing that can really, really set people off. And I understand it. I find it kind of skin crawling as well, right? But I'm like, it's a First Amendment kind of thing to me. And I know we don't have the First Amendment in Canada, but like, look, it's a produced work of art, yeah, it's a warning sign. If you are a producer of that or a consumer of that, then I would be wary. If I were a cop, I'd be keeping an eye on that. If I was involved in some sort of investigation that was trying to track people that were involved in abusing and exploiting children, and I saw some manga like that, I wouldn't just like turn my eye away. Well, it's just manga. I can't do anything about it because that guy's probably the same guy who's got actual pictures with abuse of children on. He needs to be watched.
see, I
But
don't know the truth of that
well,
because
I don't
it's
know.
it's it's
There's a reason he's drawing it. There's a reason he collects. It titillates him in some degree, right?
uh,
It's more likely going to be that guy than the guy who well, I don't know. Well, I don't know about perverts, but if a guy's like into big jugs, he's he's probably not also into, prepubescence. He's probably into big jugs exclusively for that reason. He likes big jugs.
See, but I'm a person that likes all kinds, right?
As long as they have a nice personality, I don't care.
Skin. Skin does it for me.
I like people with skin.
She got nice skin? Great. Like, yeah. But, like, yeah, like, people can have varied tastes and stuff, but when it comes to drawing, right? People draw weird, gross shit because they want to draw weird, gross shit, and they want to get, like, people's attention, and they want to strike something inside the viewer.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, think about, like, what the hell's his name? Frank Miller.
Yeah.
All right? Think of how gory some of the Frank Miller shit is, or even some of the Eastman and Laird stuff. Like, it's so, like, it's graphic and horrific, and do you ever think that Frank Miller would fucking kill a person?
No.
Right? Like,
No,
would he blow a man's balls off with a with a 45? Like,
no. But and this is the thing, and I mean, I will totally concede that there's a disconnect in our society in terms of what turns us off versus what doesn't turn us off. I think it's kind of disheartening to know that people have no problem with seeing explicit violence on TV or in movies, but explicit sex is a no-no, right? That's it's an indication of kind of a messed up, moral worldview. I think the difference is if you saw Frank Miller drawing a book where he mows down a bunch of kids explicitly, you see their brains being blown onto the wall, then people would have a problem with it. And I think that's where the issue comes, right? It's the subject matter and the content itself, because explicit sex in comic books is nothing new, but explicit sex that's of a violent nature, as it depicting, children, that's bothersome, and it hits people at an emotional, sort of like a visceral level when they see stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure, but I still don't think that's enough reason to suspect that the artist is therefore a pedophile, right?
I wouldn't necessarily think that either. As a layperson, I'm thinking I would not be surprised me if the cops saw something like that and put a red flag on that person for that very reason.
Right.
And now maybe they're completely unfounded in it, but I think they would be remiss in their duty if they didn't, at least keep an eye and watch out for something more egregious down the line on that person. But that speaks to the whole surveillance state too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it, the people who get caught with the huge volumes of child pornography or actual, like, Epstein Island style Epstein Islands don't have collections of fucking lolicon manga. At least if they do, it's not nearly enough of anything to be even part of the story.
Well, I mean, again, like, have you watched Out of Shadows yet?
No.
You should watch it. It's a good little documentary. Because a lot of stuff, when they talk about the Podestas and they talk about the closely associated with Clinton and Epstein and James Alefantis, their art collection is quite disturbing, and it depicts, the ones that are shown anyway. People are talking about this in that context are, children in what look to be positions of torture and abuse. So,
pardon me, shit.
Don't go dying on me now.
Yeah, I know.
Good Times has a glass of whiskey and cigarettes.
Yeah. I wish. Cheers. No, I didn't make it out to the liquor store.
Oh no, what are you gonna do? What's that on your shirt?
This is a caffeine molecule.
Oh, okay. I thought it might be the White Rabbit.
No, yeah, but soon.
The adrenochrome molecule.
Yeah, no, I
That's some
got
fucked up shit too.
no, yeah. Like, I mean, once you've got the taste for tortured, adrenaline-filled children's blood, I don't think the lollicon's gonna work for you anymore. That's
Yeah, yeah. Caffeine is like it's like water.
mm. But yeah, like just
So,
stupidity.
but no, the cracking down on porn though,
Yeah.
bringing it back because we went to a pretty dark and disturbing place. But the cracking down of porn,
Mm.
to me is like, oh man, the conservatives start to make some really cool arguments, and now they're going all moral majority shit. Now I don't even know if it's conservatives specifically, but maybe it's the left who've become prudish when it comes to pornography. Let
Mm.
people fucking look at their porn. Don't shut down people. I mean, here's the thing: you shut down Pornhub, there's just gonna be another one that takes its place.
Oh yeah.
Unless you want to talk about banning porn altogether from the internet. And you can't do that because it's a $1 billion industry, and it's as connected to politicians as the gun lobby and pharmaceutical lobby and everything else. So it's not going to happen.
Well, like, and here's something people don't understand: that like 90% of the surface internet is pornography.
90%, really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous how much of the internet is pornography. And when you and then you find out that 90% of the internet isn't available through Google searches. It's like that dark web stuff, the deep web. That's more than 90% of the internet, and 90% of that is porn.
Yeah.
Right?
And buying drugs and guns online.
Well, that's the other 10%, right?
Yeah.
Hitmen for hire, and yeah, like
Yeah, that's really minor. I saw like a YouTube video of the Silk Road and how the history of the Silk Road and what's happening. Originally, it was just so people could buy drugs online. That's what it was for. It was like this guy who was essentially a libertarian saying, "Look, the state shouldn't be impeding people's ability to get hold of LSD and things like that. So fuck it, I'm going to make it available." And then it turned into then there were all these copycats of the Silk Road that were about hiring assassins and buying guns and with the serial numbers filed off and shit like that.
well, what's that beautiful meme? It's a Pepe, and he's all fucking psychedelic, and it says something like, "Born too late to discover the world, born too soon to explore outer space, born just in time to order psychedelics off the internet."
That's right. That's right. I'm guessing that's where Joe Rogan gets his. Maybe he knows a guy. I don't know. He's a big nut for DMT. He's like huge into the DMT. I don't think he does it a lot, but he's an outspoken proponent of DMT.
So I have vaped DMT in a DMT vape pen.
Really?
Yes. It's fucking insane.
Is it?
It is
Did you
fucking crazy, man.
Did you see God?
I'm not sure that was his name.
No, I saw Fred Flintstone.
No, like it's hard to explain, because especially now, so long later, there's different dosages, right?
Yeah.
So off this vape pen, a full dose would be like 10 solid long pulls. Okay? And a half dose, about 5, will get you places.
Yeah.
So I went for 7, because I'm fairly experienced with psychedelics and shit. So
yeah,
I was just like, okay, I can skip 5. I can jump to 7.
Yeah. You don't get on the highway going 50.
What's that?
You don't get on the highway going 50.
Yeah, exactly. So for the next 20 minutes, I was curled up on the couch under a blanket, just listening to this one song on repeat with my face in my hands like this, going, "Oh, what the fuck?" And it was only the song that kept me aware that I was still in the physical space here.
That's
Right?
hilarious.
Yeah, and I was just watching layers of reality peel away until like everything was just this, I can't even describe it. It's like a slow bubbling gray space that's made of chessboard with different
Weird.
symbols on the entire chessboard and these weird, I don't know, faceless ladies trying to point out certain symbols while the man in the top hat, who's always just outside my peripheral vision, is telling me the secrets of the universe in a language I can't quite understand. It was like,
That's awesome.
it's fucking nuts. It's not something I recommend for people who have not done copious amounts of mushrooms or LSD. Yeah.
I mean, I did a fair bit of LSD when I was in college and even in high school, and you know, I don't know what it is. I think I need to. My problem is drugs make me paranoid. I get and I don't mean I'm paranoid like cops are gonna bust in and bust me, or my dad's gonna see me and be disappointed or anything like that. I mean paranoid in that I start to like overthink what's going on, and I start to get a little anxious about my mental state, and I get anxious, and I do get very, very hyper aware of other people, and you know, and I'm constantly thinking, what are they thinking of me right now? It all becomes about me because I'm like a megalomaniac or an egomaniac. But anyway, so I haven't done LSD like I said in college, but it even happens when I smoke weed. Like, and it doesn't matter what the weed is, I get paranoid. Even the mildest shit, I get paranoid. I wouldn't mind trying like microdosing LSD. I hear a lot about microdosing LSD, how it can really help you just sort of, you know, center yourself and have a sense of well-being. Like
Right.
we're talking, like you took LSD in college, remember? It was like, I guess, a macro dose, right? But they're talking about really, really, really tiny, tiny doses. And I wouldn't mind trying that. It's just, you know, it's not legal for one.
Right.
And you know, okay, what is Nick's radio saying? It just occurs to me now, who has the time to make any kind of meaningful measure of the entire internet? How much of it do you have to check before you can call your estimation accurate?
Right.
I don't know,
yeah.
man. Give it a try, Nick. You're on lockdown like the rest of us, I'm sure.
No, yeah. Well, there was also another meme. You have reached the end of the internet. Congratulations. Go outside.
That's right.
Oh, but okay. In that case, with your paranoia, overthinking, you don't have to worry because this shit would hit you instantaneously, right?
Yeah.
From
It's
the
like
time.
salvia.
Oh, yeah. Like you take your doses, you hope you turned off the vape pen and put it down in a safe spot before you curl up under the blanket. And then there's like it literally, if it wasn't for the song, I would have completely forgotten about the room and the couch and the blanket. I would have just, but I could hear the music and then I would like feel my hands against my face and be like, okay, I still exist. That's fine. And then go back into it. But there's no time. There's no time to really process what's happening until it's finishing up.
And my understanding is only about a 15, 20-minute high. Is that right?
Yeah. And like, there's no after effects. Like, you don't feel sluggish. You don't, there's no tolerance buildup.
Yeah.
That you could go, they call it the rich man's acid because you can do it in your lunch break and then go back to your high-end Wall Street or Bay Street job, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And
yeah,
like,
that was the worst thing about acid. I remember taking out college, and like the next day, I was like retarded. My brain wasn't working right. I was retarded. I was literally like, I was trying to get my microwave going, and I'm pressing different buttons. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is crazy.
No, yeah, because you can't sleep. Like you're gonna be so fucking drained.
I mean, it wasn't that, but like, and the funny thing is, the last time I did it, I was in college. Lived in a townhouse with a bunch of guys, and They're like, hey, we got some acid. And I'm like, oh, cool, yeah. I mean, acid was great. It was like $5 a hit. That's
Yeah.
a really cheap drug. Right? I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll take some acid. And I took it, and everybody else took it. We all dropped it around the same time. And about an hour in, they're all like, yeah, I'm not getting much out of this. And we all just sort of went our separate ways. And I'm like, no, man, I thought we were all going to and get high and be stupid together. But everybody went and did their own thing. And then I'm all by myself. And I started freaking out. So I go up and I lie down on my bed. And you know that popcorn ceiling you have? Right?
Yeah.
Well, the popcorn ceiling, the hallucination I had, the popcorn ceiling all like sort of congealed right above my bed in the shape of a skull, and it was falling off. And I'm
Nice.
like, fuck, I gotta get out of here. Well, yeah, you'd think it'd be nice, but I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh shit. Anyway, it was actually that particular time had the most intense hallucinations. They were like really, really good hallucinations, but I was too freaked out to enjoy them.
Right.
So
Yeah. That's too bad.
what are you gonna do? Ancient history. The cool thing is that I remember them like every time I've ever done acid. I remember things explicitly. I got like it's locked in my brain. I'll never forget the actual experience itself. So I have a feeling that DMT might be one of those things where if I were to do it, it would be one of these like mind-altering experiences that sort of stuck with me. It wouldn't be just like, wow, that was a really cool high for 20 minutes and it was really intense. And I have a feeling that it would I'd be one of those people that had a profound effect on. So,
see, that's the other thing is there's no such thing as tolerance to this.
yeah.
Right? I know a girl that she ate an ounce of mushrooms, didn't feel a fucking thing.
Yeah, I've tried psilocybin. I've never been a big fan of it.
Oh, I love it. I like it better than LSD.
Yeah.
Been so long.
I think it's the stomach. It makes I don't like the way it upsets my stomach. That's probably what it is.
Yeah. There's tricks for that, right?
Yeah.
But like for DMT, there's no tolerance. There's no tolerance buildup. It hits everyone with the same intensity.
Yeah.
Like if you enjoy that kind of thing,
yeah,
when you're coming down, you're going to be like, I can't even believe that just happened.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
I want them to make a psychedelic like in Firestarter. You ever see Firestarter?
Not for a long time. I remember watching it when I was a kid.
Firestarter, the parents involved in this LSD program with special LSD that the government have cooked up, and they come out of it and they get psychic powers. That's the kind of LSD I want. That's the kind of psychedelic I want, where I have this crazy intense trip, and then I come out and I got psychic powers, and my kid becomes a pyrokinetic.
Well, I ran into my buddy, right? This was a long time ago, and I hadn't seen him in, God, like a year or more, and we have always been fans of this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And we end up at the same place, and he goes, "Oh, Irving, I've got something for you," and it just hit me. I went, "You have a DMT vape?" He's like, "Yeah, how did you know?" And I thought for a second, and I was gonna blurt out, and I told him I was just about to say, "I'm psychic," and then I was like, "That's not it. You've been doing so much DMT, you're psychic, and you just fed it to me."
My brain.
Yeah, like, oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm he seems to be able to read my mind. That's all. And I said I don't believe in psychic powers, but it'd be cool if we could get them.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like we're reconnected, and so yeah, the guy always seems to be able to read your mind when playing this game. The thing is, it's this idea that if you know a person well enough, you can predict things about them, right? Like, yeah. You can predict outcomes. So you must be good friends.
We are good friends. It's true. We of all my friends, he kind of like he's the one who likes to push my buttons the most. So he's like he challenges me, so to speak, right? So we don't agree on everything, but he challenges me, and he likes to like I said, push my button. So that may be why. Maybe we got a connection because some sort of emotional kind of like he wants to aggravate me or I want to aggravate him. But yeah, that's all right. Anyway, Mr. Dax asks, I'm a bit curious about psychedelics, but not sure that they would play well with my depression. Same with the weed, etc. And I was just saying, but I don't know if he heard me. That's where microdosing LSD is apparently supposed to be beneficial. You take very, very tiny, tiny, tiny doses each day, and it's just supposed to help with your overall mental well-being and your outlook. And again, I don't know. There's lots of YouTube videos about microdosing LSD.
See, but it's not something I would want to rely on regularly. You know what I like? Daily
I don't know if
microdoses of LSD. I'm told that, over prolonged periods of time, that tiny little bit is going to cause you some serious damage. Like, there's only so many times in your life you should ever do LSD.
yeah, but when I'm talking about microdosing, we're talking about 1/100th
Yeah.
of a dose that you would normally take, right? And yeah, I don't know what the long-term effects are. That's why I was saying if he's got a forward-thinking doctor and his current depression medication isn't cutting it, yeah, maybe that might be something looking at. I don't know.
See, but they have actually done studies not with microdosing of LSD that I'm aware, but other illicit chemicals that have basically been like, oh no, this is the devil in fucking powdered form.
Yeah.
And the early results have been promising at best, or at least. And I don't know like how far they've gone with these studies, but like stuff like crystal meth and ketamine.
Yeah.
And I don't mean MDMA. I mean the shitty version. the proper crystal meth out of Breaking Bad that for people with depression or but for people with depression or even PTSD, that dosing every 3 to 6 months, one time under a doctor's supervision, and then they're alleviated of their symptoms for long periods of time. It's really weird that something like that would help in those small controlled doses for months, right? One shot, months of relief, which is very interesting.
Doesn't ketamine people who I hear these radio ads all the time about if you've ever been addicted or if you ever used ketamine, you want involved in the study, blah 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 blah, call us up and get paid, kind of thing. Wasn't ketamine originally prescribed as like a treatment for depression or something along those lines?
I don't know.
As like a daily thing. Like, how do you get a hold of ketamine otherwise? Right?
I don't know how the guys back in high school used to get a hold of ketamine. But it's okay. It's a very powerful tranquilizer, but it's also like psychedelic at the same time.
It's like a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, it's been used for horses. It works extremely well on cats and apparently infants.
Next 6 minutes is asking, but does coronavirus kill ass cancer though? Yes. Kills everything.
Apparently, I'm no longer privy to the live chat, so you're gonna have to keep me apprised there.
Oh, you can't see? Okay.
It's not scrolling for me. I'm not getting any new stuff.
Six should hop in.
Sure, he's always welcome.
Six, hop in.
But my mom a few months ago had to go to hospital, and the doctors had to do something unpleasant, so they shot her up with ketamine.
Nice.
Right, to do the unpleasant thing. So she was out for about 15-20 minutes on the dose, but she was telling me afterwards that have you ever seen Community?
No, I've never watched it. I think I've caught like clips of it here and there, and I hear it's really good. But
it's hilarious. It's one of the best shows that, at least the first 3 or 4 seasons, is one of the best shows that ever hit television, in my opinion. And the doctors that were there and doing the examination had to give her this. She said they reminded her of 2 of the characters, Troy, who's played by Donald Glover, and Abed, who Danny Putty.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so they're over her, and they're like, okay, we're going to give you this. We're going to do the procedure. And they stick her. And suddenly, the 2 doctors were the characters from Community, but it
That's
was
funny.
also right around Christmas. So there was suddenly a Christmas tree, and everything looked claymation like out of the show, and the presents were spinning around the Christmas tree, and she went up and down so fast. It all made sense to her at the time.
That's funny. Well, I hope your mom's recovered okay.
Yeah, she's doing much better, thank you.
That's good. That's hilarious. Yeah, it's insane what you can see when you're on these psychedelics. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't done them in ages, so
Yeah, they're
like a lifetime ago.
they're
But
a good
I'm not averse to the idea of trying DMT.
I'll see what I can do. No.
Well, here's the problem. Like, I have my own little stash of cannabis, and my wife doesn't partake. So if I ever want to do it, I'm just doing it alone. So that'd be the thing about DMT. I feel like I was like, that's where I would get anxious because she wouldn't be on it, and I would be, and I'd feel very self conscious about it. I feel like I was being judged, even though she wouldn't judge me, or she's already judged me. And, is still with me, so
Well,
can't be that bad.
let me tell you, you wouldn't be, because you would it's definitely something like it's not a party drug.
No.
It's not like, hey, let's drop some shrooms and go walk through the park and shit.
Yeah.
On a warm spring evening. No. It's not like that. It's curl up on the couch and be under the blanket by yourself because this is happening to you. Like,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So it sounds like because I hear salvia is very similar. Salvia is like, but it's it's much shorter. It's
Well,
like a minute, 3 minutes tops kind of thing for salvia.
if I'm not mistaken, it actually is DMT that's in the plant.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a concentrated form of DMT. So when you smoke it, or however they use salvia, I think they smoke it.
Yeah.
You're getting sort of like a small dose. It's like smoking the stems.
Sort of.
In a cannabis cigarette, as opposed to smoke the leaves and the kush. I got you.
Yeah, where ayahuasca is actually the two plants. I can't remember what they are, but one of them has the DMT in it, and the other has an MAO inhibitor.
Mm-hmm.
And your body breaks down the DMT very, very quickly with the monoamine oxidase. Is that what it's MAO stands for?
Uncle Jeezy saying salvia isn't DMT.
Oh, it's not? Gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, hey, we got the internet right here.
Yeah. But with the MAOI, your body doesn't break down the DMT and expel it. So you end up on this 8-10 hour trip of a really slow release of DMT from this disgusting tasting tea. Yeah. 6 is here.
How do 6? I'm not hearing him. Did I get kicked?
No. I've got you. I don't have 6.
6, are you there? Yeah, I see him in the chat, but he's not. I'm not hearing him.
You're going to have to hop out and hop back in, my man. Or maybe he's muted and I just can't tell.
Oh, he hopped out. He'll hop back in.
Okay. But yeah, it's intense, and it's not for the faint of heart or the inexperienced.
So salvia is a large genus of plants that include mint and sage.
Mm-hmm.
DMT is the slang term for 2 psychoactive chemicals produced primarily in mammals, some reptiles, and many people. So I know that you really mean it. Differences between salvia divinorum and DMT.
What's
they're
that?
Very different. They're very different in structure and function.
So what is the active chemical psychedelic in Salvia divinorum?
Da, da, da. Salvinorum A is a very unusual psychoactive chemical in that it is ditaprine, a K-opioid receptor agonist with some dopaminergic activity. N,N-diamethylene is a tryptamine that acts on the fairly classic psychedelic pathway as 5-HT2A agonist, along with evidence that it activates a slew of other receptors as well. So I guess they hit different parts of the brain.
Wow.
One's the K opioid receptor, and the other one is.
See, now, one thing I understood from all of this was tryptamine, because DMT is
Yeah.
dimethyltryptamine, and there is a couple of different forms. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 that can get you seriously fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, that being said, psychedelics are pretty cool, apart from the paranoia. But again, I get that with every drug I do. I wouldn't be adverse to trying it at some point in my life.
So what happened to 6, though?
I don't know. Getting updates for Discord. Okay, so maybe his Discord's not up to date and he's having issues.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Dax says, I see dumb people. They don't know they're dumb. Oh, wait, I'm on Twitter.
Here, if I'm going to follow this, I want to see what they're talking about in the chat. So now I've got to do this the hard way. Yeah. Is who drunk? No, I'm not drunk. I haven't been drinking, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm not living up to my own fucking standards of being drunk all the fucking time.
You can't call yourself the angry drunk Canadian. You're too happy and you're not drunk.
Oh, what does that tell you?
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. I couldn't get my OBS to do what I wanted it to do.
Yeah, we're gonna fix that because
I'll have to figure it out.
Guys, check out in the description there. I do have Craig's channel links, and we're gonna stream one day soon on his channel.
Yay!
Once we get his fucking OBS figured out.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working.
Because everything seemed to be smooth the other day, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't open the game and see if I could switch, like, it would actually show it, right? I just heard, when I open the game. And the funny thing is, when I look in OBS and I switch to that channel in the OBS, in the source.
Bros!
Hey! There you
You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, it shows in the sources, but it doesn't show when I record it. Like, it's not there. It's just my camera. So
that's weird. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it.
Yeah,
soon.
I'll figure it out.
6, how you doing, my man?
Not too bad. I'm in the midst of robbing some liquor stores. I'm standing right next to an upturned police vehicle, Los Santos police squad car.
I hear the sirens.
It still contains the 2 officers that were pursuing me before my wanted level disappeared.
You should shoot them.
And it's upside down. And you guys will actually be able to see this in my next video, because I'm going to be including the footage of me standing next to the police vehicle and describing what had happened. And you might be able to hear yourself and Craig Bragg in the background, because I just literally filmed this footage. So if anybody's interested in seeing that, it will be on my next video. I'm about to speed off to my next conquest. But you guys were talking about the
Dergs
pills there, the Dergs, the crazy pills. So I don't have much experience in the psychedelics per se, but there was an interesting concoction. I don't know the proper name of the stuff, but it was one of those. It was one of those things that you had to mix with water, and it would be frozen at room temperature. So when it came in its a little bottle, a plastic bottle container, a translucent plastic bottle container, it would actually be frozen. And you would have to. It was almost like what is the stuff that the hot ice? I can't remember what the proper name of it is, but it's in a crystalline state at room temperature, and you have to heat it up in order to get it to.
And you mix it with water, and what are the effects?
It's sort of like a euphoric state, and I think ecstasy is the closest thing that I can compare it to, and so I had to shoot the cashier. I never liked doing that. But he pulled out a shotgun and he was about to friggin' unload on me. So hey, self-preservation and shit. So
If he hadn't have done what I told him not to do, he'd still be alive.
exactly, I wouldn't have to waste ammo, which you. I don't actually have.
I gotta watch that. I haven't seen that movie in forever. Reservoir Dogs is such a good movie.
But I've never known the proper name of the stuff. I just know the properties of it. And let me tell you, the first time that I did that,
Uncle Jeezy says bath salts.
Yeah, it's probably bath salts.
but let me tell you, the first time that I did that was the first time that I watched Ben-Hur. And let me tell you, the bag of popcorn that I ate was the best tasting bag of popcorn that I ever ate. And damn, that was the best movie I've ever seen. Charlton Heston.
Fuck yeah.
Wherever you are in the hereafter, thank you for that experience and for that
Thank you.
long-ass movie.
And thank you for your service with the National Rifle Association.
Exactly. And Orville Redenbacher, my bro, thank you. Thank you for that microwave popcorn. And whoever it was that produced the Parmesan cheese that I just sprinkled on top of it, thank you too. Yeah, it's a very bitter tasting concoction.
That's just the Parmesan cheese.
And the only thing that I ever called it was diode.
Diode.
So
So you're like a cyborg, and that's like cyborg drugs.
I don't know. Yes. A buddy of mine. It was the late '90s. A buddy of mine. He used to get these things. This was a time when he was very experimental and he used to do a lot of weird shit. And he used to get this stuff, oddly enough, from your great white north, Canada. He used to get it shipped to him in boxes that said like soap samples.
Bunty soap?
Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, like soap samples. And this was back in like the Wild West of the internet, where you didn't have to work very hard to get some weird shit. So that's what you would get some weird shit. Yeah.
I miss the days of the Wild West of the internet.
So those are the days of the diode and the Ben-Hur and the Fantastic Pop.
I just miss that, like back then, the internet was mostly message boards, and everybody was shitposting. Everybody.
Yeah.
And nobody cared about, saying the wrong thing. Everybody was shitposting. Social justice didn't even exist.
Yeah, those were good times. Good times.
Yeah.
You could tell a joke and people would laugh. You remember laughter, guys? Do you remember laughter?
I do. That's why I watch a lot of Norm Macdonald on YouTube.
Nice.
Bro, do you guys remember how it felt to
Yeah.
hear good, genuine, like guttural guffaws? Those were the days, man. Those were the days.
If you want a good joke, if you haven't seen it, look up Norm Macdonald on Conan O'Brien when he tells the joke of the moth.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard the moth?
I love that joke.
So it's
I've-
so corny.
The problem
But
is,
it's
if you're
so
not Norm
good.
Macdonald, it never gets a good reaction. Everybody just
No.
hates you.
I told it as a and I did it with like Russian accents and everything. So in the car, I told the moth. Anyway,
Oh,
Those are good times. Hey, if anybody's curious as to what liquor store I am actually robbing right now on the outskirts of Los Santos. Yeah, so chasing away a prostitute now. Run, 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 run. There we go. So everybody's prostituting is like racing down the street in high heels. It's funny.
it's
Anyhow,
hard to run in high heels.
oh, it's a challenge. I'm very impressed. Spirit fingers for her. Anyhow, so this is Rob's Liquor. It's next to
Well, he's asking to be robbed.
yeah.
it's next to it's between Mom's Tacos and the the Mexican and American stand. It's between Mom's Tacos and the Mexican and American stand. It's evidently open 24 hours a day, but they never let me in because evidently Rockstar never rendered the building, which sucks because I would very much like to patronize a lot of these establishments that they bother to put in the game. But you can't go in because they're just cereal boxes.
Have you ever played the Division there, Six?
I have not.
So a buddy of mine plays Divisions, and he's the Division, I should say, and the newer one. And he's also very big into Google Maps. He likes to go Street View random cities, maps. And apparently, the people who mapped out the cities for New York and then Washington D.C. in the Division did it at a 1-to-1 scale. They mapped every single building.
Nice.
And so, like where there's a taco shop or a submarine sandwich shop in the real world, there's a submarine sandwich shop in the Division.
Excellent.
And they even got apparently they even got access to.
I had to drain him because he called the cops on me. That's a no. That's bad form.
Oh, you
That
should
is
shoot
bad
him.
form. As soon as I saw the squad car sitting out there, I turned around like, you son of a bitch. So, anyhow, that's the cashier that I just gunned down. His name, I've taken to calling him Jorge Especial.
All right then.
Jorge he's Special George, and he's one of my people, the Latin Americans, and it's always a comfort to see him, unless he calls the cops on me. Then then bitch has to die. So that's how I roll in the great city of Los Santos.
So what you're saying is that when it comes time to protest in Texas, all these horrible measures that the authorities have put on the citizens of the great state of Texas, you have no problem shooting cops.
No, actually, here's the thing. I'm very pro cop, and the thing is, I don't open fire on police. In fact, whenever there is a police chase in this great game of Grand Theft Auto 5, I actually assist the cops as much as I can by actually racing alongside the perp that they're actually trying to bring down.
Oh, so you're not the perp.
No. I'm the guy that actually races in front of the perp's car and slows it down enough that it stops, and they have to get out and engage the police. Wherein the outcome is usually determined, fairly definitively that they get taken down. So that's. So in Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm very pro cop, and I'm very reluctant to actually engage with these sort of like that. So I'm less of a fight and more of a flight kind of guy. times. It's like, hey, I understand you guys. You guys are on the mean streets of Los Santos in the great state of San Andreas, and you guys got to do a job. So I'm here to help you guys out as much as possible, and be as minor a pain in your backside as I possibly can. So
you're a model citizen. So what kind of restrictions do they put in Texas for you people in terms of ability? Are you allowed to go outside? Or are you not allowed to go outside?
Well, they don't really so much mess with you. I think most people are staying inside just because they watch too much CNN and they're really spooked. When I go through the drive-through, the drive-through attendant is, of course, wearing the gloves and the mask and stuff like that.
See, they're not doing that here. I went and got Mary Brown's last week, and you wouldn't know that there was a virus, just except for the fact that there was no traffic and there was no wait at the drive-through. She hands me the little thing to pay, and she's within 3 or 4 feet of me.
There's a little place that I go to around the corner, and they've actually taken to instead of like physically taking the card from your hand or the cash from your hand, is they hold out this little plastic tray, and you set it in instead of like physically taking it from you. They just drop it in the basket. So I was telling Herb the other day, because I have to shop in these aircraft hangar sized grocery stores. I mean, you could fit a Nimitz class freaking vessel. And am I using the right nomenclature? Are there Nimitz? The things that the planes land on in the
aircraft carrier?
Aircraft carrier, yeah. You could park one of those bad boys in these grocery stores. They're so freaking huge. And they have these stickers about 6.5 feet apart in front of the checkout, and it says, social distancing, please observe. So there's that, and outside where the shopping cart trolley thingies, where they are, they're actually wiping them down with freaking Clorox wet wipes. And
they're doing that at Costco too. Mm-hmm. And the lineup at Costco today, the wife and I drove by. We didn't go in, but we drove by, delivering groceries for the family.
And there is
the lineup was insane. It was around the back.
And there is a noticeable lack of people out there, because I go out there like mid-afternoon on a Saturday, and it looks like a Sunday morning. There's that few people around, and the parking lot in my apartment complex looks like a Sunday or a Saturday morning on like a Tuesday afternoon, like a Thursday afternoon. It's like, holy shit, people are still here. They haven't left. And what sucks even more is that I have to kind of sneak out in the middle of the night to put my trash bags, because there's fucking hell. There is an abundance of the garbage, and they're still sticking to their regular pickup routine. So I gotta get out there early to throw my shit away, and because if I don't, then every Tom, Dick, and Harry that I live next to is throwing his crap out there, and it's like, you gotta use a fucking stick to get it in the trash compactor. It's wild. It's wild, and it's I do understand that. Hey, we're living in one of those extenuating circumstances apply, like fuck. And
it's the flu.
It's the flu. It's the flu, bro. It's just I understand that, and it's like, okay. Um, but at the same time, it's like it's just eerie. It's just eerie. It's yeah. It's like it's how I would imagine the month after the Thanos snap. It's how I imagine it would be like. That they're half the people just gone. So you don't see. This is after like whatever remaining first responders, police, and so on and so forth have cleared away all the stuff, the abandoned vehicles because they just got snapped. This would be like how I would think it would look the month after that. And damn it, freaking squad cars chased me up the side of the hill. Good gosh. So I would say a commendation for this officer. He's really really committed to the cause. Holy shit, bro! Hats off to you. Anyhow, so yeah, it's like I'm in a city of like 1.5 million, and it's like half the population has disappeared, and we're just seeing like the after effects of Thanos. Thanos has gotten all 6 Infinity Gems, and Thor didn't go for the head, and Snapperino, and so we're in this state of holy shit, half the damn city is gone.
So we've got 2 Marvel references now in this live stream. I was talking earlier about how Hydra won.
Oh yeah,
because everybody's basically given up all their freedom.
Yeah, but there's the scope of it. There's very few like modern fictional comparisons one can make without referencing something that Marvel has done in the last decade. So it's it's the legacy of the scope that they've been able to achieve cinematically. So one has to reference Hydra and Thanos just to kind of get across to people, hey, shit's really big here. So we gotta pull Thanos out of our ass and snap a doodle. So I've achieved the 10,000 I was after.
Good on you.
Right. This character. So I'm gonna save here and then go to the next character that I need to amass 10,000. And he's gonna be doing the same thing, but in a completely different area.
You're quite focused on that game.
Oh yeah, I science this shit. And I've done that with every Grand Theft Auto. I have my systems and I have my science. So
Nano Reaper saying that Dallas County is requiring people to wear masks in public, which violates Texas 408.108, which only allows county judges to restrict movement and occupancy. And he says it's not scary, it's retarded.
Yeah.
Then says 6 is a liberal stronghold. I don't know if he's talking to you about you, 6. It's because our unread trash. It's because people are unread trash. Oh, okay.
Let's see. Let me get out the radio. I don't want you to get content struck or click on the radio. I'm now using the Michael character, and I'm going to be taking him out to the sandy shores and rob rednecks.
Sounds relaxing.
Yeah, it is. It's quite relaxing. But I zapped into him, and he's wearing this piece of shit suit, and I need him to look like I need him to look like one of my neighbors. So he's gonna get outfitted with some sweet redneck gear.
6 lives in a liberal stronghold. Oh, do you live in Austin?
No, I live in San Antonio, which is it's San Antonio is half and half. It's a largely red population, but somehow by some weird mechanism, we have a lot of Democratic politicians that seem to do well here, and uh, it's 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 largely because I don't know. The only thing I can say is that it might have something to do with like large Hispanic population. Um, there's a lot of Hispanic Democrats, and so it's yeah, it's one of those things where uh, it's a very it's a very racist form of democratic political machines, and it's a very local style local style democratic political machine, and there's a lot of small towns that follow the same sort of model of there's a lot of Democrats. It's easy for them to get elected because they're pretty much they have a large population to draw from because of Catholicism. Wow. There's a lot. There's a lot of Hispanics because the Pope hates condoms. Anyhow, that's so there is large populations of very local culture, locally culturally centered people that are catered to very effectively and aggressively by local Democratic politicians, and it's
So if you walked around down the street in San Antonio wearing a MAGA hat, what do you think the reaction would be?
it's probably if I was maybe downtown or like the area around UTSA, maybe I might get. But insofar as like the greater part of the city, probably nobody would. At this point, I would get more attention if I just happened to sneeze.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so would everybody, though.
Now, if I were walking around Austin,
Yeah,
particularly
you get the shit
particularly
kicked out of you.
the 6th Street area, that would be yeah, I'd be less inclined to do that than in San Antonio. As far as San Antonio goes, walk around with your MAGA hat, you're probably not going to get shit.
Well, I wouldn't walk around with a MAGA hat here in Ontario, although Canadians are generally pretty polite. I don't think I'd get a lot of people losing their shit on me. We had a funny hat day at work, and a buddy of mine who's also a Trump supporter wore a MAGA hat, and nobody gave him shit.
Yeah.
Although he got sideways looks because my office is predominantly female. It's like 70-30. Actually, it's probably more like 80-20. And
Yeah.
they were not happy when he won. And they knew before he won, they were all convinced Hillary was going to win. Of course, everybody would.
Ooh.
And they knew I supported Trump. And the next day after the election, one of the women walked in and she like gave me shit. It's like, you, and I'm like, what? I didn't vote for the guy. It's like I had no control over it. Well, you're mad that I was right that he was gonna win. Anyway, it was funny.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's we live in Chinese curve. We live in very interesting times,
We
and
sure do.
Yeah.
and
We sure do.
it carries with it a certain fascination. It's one of But does it have to be fascinating for those reasons?
You know what? It's so everything's up in the air right now, and I'm just looking towards November, and I want to make a prediction that he's going to win again, but I just don't know. I don't know that they're. Here's my prediction. I don't think Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee. I just don't think he will.
Hillary's gonna jump out of a hat.
She might swoop in at the last minute. Somebody else might swoop in at the last minute, but I don't think he's going to be the nominee. I think that they're playing a game right now where they're going to drag it out as long as they can, and someone else is going to end up being the nominee. Might be Hillary. And if it's Hillary and she wins, I worry that the Republicans won't accept it, and that there's going to be another civil war in the United States. If Trump wins, the Democrats aren't going to accept it, and I worry there's going to be another civil war in the United States.
Well, hey, it was fun while it lasted. Yeah, Western civilization.
I've been saying since 2016, 2017, because I saw an article on Minds, I think it was, about national divorce. When a guy wrote something about, there needs to be a national divorce in the United States. And I kind of agree. You guys should just, sell the house, split all the belongings, and work out your divorce settlement, and just and go your separate ways.
Yeah.
I just think I think it's
time for.
I don't think what's his name? Dennis Miller was on Ruben Report recently. He says, I don't see it getting better. I just don't. I don't see people coming together anymore. We're just too far afield from one another. And I think that's true.
Well, Nano makes a good point here. Democrats have no guns.
No, and I don't mean civil war in that you're gonna have two camps, like armed camps, like running at each other on a battlefield. I mean, like, it's gonna be impossible for anything to get done. Nobody who is of one ideological camp is going to be willing to work or associate with somebody on another ideological camp. So I think it's just going to be a matter of they should just split. And then I prefer we just nuke New York City and California and be done with it. California should secede. You should just secede.
California, you know what? I think we should let those that I can't remember what it's called, like Plan San Diego, something like that. Anyway, those kind of people, the Blue Lac, Metcha, La Raza types, give them exactly what they wanted. Let California be part of the good old state of Mexico, and all of those people were so gung ho about, we should have this land back. It was stolen from us, and so on and so on and so forth. Once we get the land back, then we get the stage 2, which is all the question marks, and then stage 3, profit. That's what's going to happen. No, here's what's going to happen: is all the same assholes that made you want to leave Mexico in the first place going to take power there too, and they're going to fuck up everything like they're doing in Mexico right now.
Yep.
And they're going to do it harder because now they have more with. And all of you people who have been clamoring for this are going to find out just how less you're going to have to work with once these people have more. So, hey, knock yourself out. La Raza Unida. Kick some ass. Give it your best shot. It's one of the things that has pissed me. That argument. It was the land that was stolen from our ancestors. Stolen from.
No, man, you were conquered. Simple as that. You're a Stone Age culture that met an Iron Age culture. It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
You should have developed the wheel.
Yeah,
And written language.
The thing is, and after they got used to being Mexico and all of the imperialist Americans, they've taken our land and the Sam Houstons and current Colonel says first name was F. Austin. Anyhow, Stephen F. Austin's, the Jim Bowies, all these taking our beloved Texas and California, Nevada and shit from the motherland, and we need to get all that stuff back. We need to get all that land back. Well, why is that? Because it's crazy here, man. It's crazy. There's these evil 1% people that have all the money and all the power, working with the cartels and so on and so forth. So much.
And the Democrats.
and the Democrats have promised us all this one stuff. Is we get this land back, and once we get the land back, everything's going to be great. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Everything's going to be great, but it's not going to be great for you. It's going to be great for that 1% of assholes that are screwing up Mexico right now. Because if you think that you people are going to be the ones in power with your drum circles and your kumbaya, your La Raza Unida bullshit, no, it's going to be the asshole that are screwing over Mexico right now. They're the ones that are going to be in power, and if you think it's going to be any different, then you are an absolute moron, and nobody should be listening to you.
Mexico is a failed state run by narco-terrorists, says Nano Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes.
And
if all these ideal daydreamers, if they think it's going to be any different than how I've spelled it out, they're smoking the wrong peyote. Because shit ain't going to work out for them. It is not going to work out. And the same douchebags that are running Mexico into the ground right now, and they're going to take over power in some form or fashion, shape, or form. And all these ideological back find themselves with their heads spinning. Like, what happened? We were supposed to get the land back, and everything was going to be great because we took the Yankees' money and so on and shit. So, oh no, federales. Yeah, that's how it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
And anybody that thinks different, you need to be smoking the right peyote. You don't actually smoke peyote.
You drink it, right?
Yeah, chew it or you drink it. That's kind of a callback to the movies. So
Go ahead, sorry.
So I'm in the desert right now, and I'm robbing a Chinese man. Yes.
Well, Mr. Twin, I think I'm going to call it a night. We're moving on for about 2 hours now.
Oh, yeah, no, I actually think it's a fair time to call it. So why don't we do a little bit of outroing?
Alrighty.
Craig, you go ahead. I've got your link in the description there.
Thank you very much for that. My name is Craig Bragg. I am a YouTuber, also situated in Canada, in Ontario, not too far from Mr. Twin. I get in my car on a regular basis, semi-regular basis, and I drive around and share my thoughts, as chaotic as they might be. If you like that kind of content, you hear somebody rant and make references to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then check out my channel. And on Twitter, I'm at BraggCD. That's my Twitter handle, at BraggCD.
Sub to this man.
Please do.
And the next 6 minutes, I know you just put out Peak 60 was at episode 28?
Episode 28.
And you've got something in the works now coming tomorrow?
Yep, it's going to be an over whatever. And I'm going to be talking about how it feels to be an allergy middle of a flu flu pandemic. So you can all hear about that stuff. And you'll see the one clip that I have turned police vehicle on the outskirts of the great city of Los Santos. It is located in the great state of San Andreas.
Well, I can't wait. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me tonight. We're going to have to do one on Craig's channel. We're going to get that OBS problem figured out. Thank you, everyone, for sticking it out to this point. My God, there's still people watching. Crazy what a pandemic will do to your view count. So it's been fun, guys. Stay safe. Don't let big government boot you in the face. And we'll see you sooner than you think. Good night, guys.
Amen.
Good night.
Take it easy.